Hey there, folks. Adepticon is happening as we record this, which means we are just too late to go over the scenario pack. But you know what, folks? We are going to do it anyways. And if by the time this releases, they've released a new one with Adepticon feedback, that's on us. Hopefully it's entertaining. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. Tablet Gaming is going over the current Conquest Last Argument of Kings scenario pack.
I'm excited to do this because even without Adepticon, for one, I am going to a tournament, and that's no joke.
That's true. For people who aren't at Adepticon, who are playing local, who have, scenarios for the next month or so before Adepticon feedback can really work its way through the system, this might be a very useful guide on how to play the missions and build a list. So to start off, just some basic things that are going to be true for most missions. Scoring starts on round 2. So, I'll go into that more per mission. That's the thing that I'm really going to focus on. Whereas Brannon has different interests in his missions, so I will let you...
As a Nords player, I care about killing or not my stuff dying. So, to set up, currently, there's a few different types of things that the mission pack currently has. So there's 12 different missions, and there are kind of 3 ways to get points. One way of getting points is scoring through objective zones. Those are different size based on the mission we're covering. We'll go through those because each one has different, some have larger ones, some have smaller ones. The next thing is objective markers, which the main way you interact with that is by killing the opponents or protecting yours. So you can do a little bit of a denial, but the main focus is kill the objective. And then the last way is killing things. So some missions have, every mission has a bonus points for killing warlords.
Except Maelstorm.
Maelstorm, which is, spoilers, one of our favorite missions.
The best mission.
And this is interesting because if you're a 100 Kingdoms player and you use Dynastic Alliance, you have to be aware that you are having 2 warlords, the opponent can kill both, and you can give up those points twice, so you have to be aware of that.
No throwaway warlords here.
Exactly. The next thing is 5 of the missions have points for killing enemy regiment or enemy character stands. So
in general, not just warlords.
Warlords, so any character. So that kind of puts a damper on running a bunch of a character in MSU because it's vulnerable and could give up points. And then the last one is 4 out of the 12 missions you get points for killing an entire regiment. So yet once again, there's a few things that disincentivize using MSU, but there are cases to do that, but you should be aware that you might make some missions a little easier for your opponent. The other thing that's important is when you go through these missions is a majority of them, 8 out of 12, are long side deployments. So that means you're going to be a little bit closer to your opponent. 4 of them are actually the short side deployment, so you are further away from the opponent. I found out the other day that you gotta understand this and build with a little bit of speed because Isaac was able to control the pace of a game we played earlier this week because he had the ability to put his units up, and I took a very durable army, but it didn't work when he had the ability of multiple move actions to just shoot at me. So depending on what your tournament's running, you might want to optimize having a list that has a little bit more speed or a way to deal with that.
Yep, and then that's a good point that you just hit on, is a lot of tournaments, a lot of events will post ahead of time what missions you are to be expected to play, so you can look at those and kind of figure out what your list should look like based on those. Because if you see that in a 3-game tournament, all 3 of them are awarding for kill points, you know that you want to take 4 enormous bricks of units so that you give up as few kill points as possible, and all the enemy MSUs that they're throwing against you are going to just die against your immovable blocks. Whereas if you see that all 3 short side deployments are coming up, you're going to say, I want fast objective capturing units. And then if there's a nice mix, you need to have a little flavor of each. Generally, as he pointed out, a lot of missions do give you points for killing characters, so My general advice is try not to go above 3 characters in a list.
Yeah, three I think is where you want to land mostly with a 1,500 to a 2,000 point. I think there can be a case for 4, but anything after 4, I think you have to really make a good case for it.
Yeah, because that's potentially 8 victory points in units die quick. But did we mention that seizing objectives can only be done by medium and heavier units?
We did not.
Okay, so light units cannot score. So, sorry. All scoring, before we go into the actual missions, all scoring is done per stand. Lights only deny, medium and heavy stands seize. In order to control an objective, you need to have more seizing stands than they have denial stands. A stand that seizes also denies. So if they have 3 lights and you have 3 mediums, you don't score that objective zone. It's just nobody scores it. If they have 3 lights and 1 medium and you have 3 heavies, they control the point because they have more stands. And then the second thing where light versus medium versus heavy matters is objective markers can be damaged by any category, but heavy regiments can do up to 2 damage every time they charge or clash specifically, not volleying, not spellcasting, which means that they have a little bit of an advantage. They show up later, but they have a little bit of an easier time actually destroying those markers.
In the previous mission pack, there was a win condition where you could kill all the opponent's models and win the game. That has been removed, so you have to win by the mission objective. So it's a little bit of a pivot, but something to be aware of as you build list.
Yep, and this can mean that if you score an early lead, there could be a point where the enemy army can literally no longer gain enough points to beat your lead.
That's happened in the game we played the other night.
That's true, yeah. So let's jump into Scenario 1. Scenario 1 is Divide and Conquer. It is long edge deployment. It has 6 total objective zones and 2 objective markers. The objective zones are worth 2 victory points each. 2 victory points if you control 3 or more. So that if you controlled 3, you would be getting a total of 8 victory points. 2 for each one that you control, 2 more for having 3 or more. And then if you have 4. And then if you have 4 or more of the zones, you score another extra 4 victory points. Which means if you control 4 zones total, you are getting 8 points for the zones, 2 more points for 10 total for controlling 3 or more, 4 more points for 14 total for controlling 4 different zones. So that, you can stack up a lot of points. 2 of the objective zones are 9 inches from the edge, which means if you march up 9 inches, you are going to be toe in millimeter tangential to the objective. You're going to count as scoring it if you can get a scoring stand in there. 2 of them are 21 inches from your edge, and then 2 of them are 33 inches from your edge. So those are the movement break points that you're looking for. The 2 objective markers, there's a friendly one that's 12 inches away from your edge that you want to protect. That is worth 3 victory points for your enemy to destroy, and then the one that you want to destroy is 36 inches from your edge.
And this mission is played alongside, so you are a little closer up, which is why these are obtainable. But as you just heard with the marker, that is still a fair distance across the open field to go smash their objective.
Yes. And also, since the markers are brute stands, they are about 2.6 inches by 2.6 inches, which means it's like 1.3 inches closer. So actually, you can consider the 36-inch marker to actually be probably like 35 is probably more accurate. If you can get within 30 inches, or if you can move up 30 inches, you can then charge, and it only needs to be a 5-inch. Like you would, if you had a 5-inch move, you would guarantee it. So a way that I like to look at this is the number of move actions it takes to get to each of these zones. So on turn 1, you can have like a vanguarding light unit, and if they usually have like 6-inch move at that point. If they have a standard, that adds +1 to their second move. So they move 6, then 7, then 6. That is going to be a total of 19 inches, which means that they can not only hit the first zone, but they're within 5 inches of the second zone.
Oh, that's if you have an embedded character who's medium in there that can score with the lights.
That doesn't slow them down, which can be difficult.
Yeah.
But that's one way to like get a movement on turn 1, but because you can't score turn 1, you actually, since you're still a little distance away, you just use your second turn to move on to that and score it.
The last thing I'll say, and this is one of the ones where it's almost all objective, you do get 2 points for killing the enemy warlord. As you just went through the million ways you get, if you score an objective and then a second one, you get so many more points that, unless even Dynastic Alliance giving up 4 points, I don't think is going to be enough to make you win this game. I think this one is one you have to really play the objectives and figure out how to hold multiple.
Yeah, so 2 of the objectives you score with even a 5-inch move regiment right away. So turn 2, your 5-inch move mediums, they just march on, you claim both of them, you've just scored 4 points for that. If you've got like mounted squires or a similarly fast unit that you can get 21 inches of move out of, you can score the middle 2 right away. And if you can do that, we are talking about a total of 18 points at the end of turn 2 if you build your list specifically to do that, which can be a hard lead to break.
Yep.
Especially if you can continue to hold the back 2 points and like kind of back off from the middle and reconsolidate your line. You can bait your enemy to kind of go towards the middle just to try to catch back up, and you give it to them, and then you reconsolidate your lines, and they've overexposed some stuff, and then you go into it. 100 Kingdoms, as you can tell, is probably one of my favorite armies on this specific matchup because they have the ranged firepower and the speed in order to pull that kind of trick. I don't think any other army can really get a scoring stand 21 inches up the board.
I think you could probably make a shaman list with Vanguard, but it would be hard. So
But you would need Vanguard with
Fenner.
Oh.
I think it's a one-way Fenner work.
Fenner. Fenner. 21 inches with 3 7-inch moves.
Yeah, and then you have a Blooded attached to Stalkers, and then you have Ogres as the last. And then what you do is you move the Fenner, which are mediums, so turn 2, you'd probably want to try to get them in, and then you'd have the Stalkers kind of hold, they would come in, they would replace, then you'd have Ogres and other maybe Trolls hold the back. So you would kind of do the 2-stage thing. So yeah, I think this makes some speed lists and things that are not so obviously good, such as Stalkers, interesting for these objective forward missions.
Yep, put a Blooded in those Stalkers. All right, so scenario 2 is Last Stand. It is a short side deployment, so you are crossing the entire length of the board here. There are 2 12-inch objective zones and 4 objective markers. One of the objective zones is going to be 18 inches from your table edge, and then the other one is 42 inches from your table edge, which are... The 42 inches is an incredible distance. 18 inches you can still get with like a Vanguard unit with a character that has move 6 in, because you can move 6, 7 with a standard 6, which will give you 19 inches. So that's enough to capture that right on round 2. You can also do it with like any unit that doesn't have Vanguard. If they move on round 1, get 12 inches, 13 inches up, and then on their second turn they move up, capture it. 42 inches is going to be a little harder. That is a vast distance, and you can't really make that quick enough without your enemy being able to interfere with it. The best chance I can think of is if you have a unit that has Vanguard and double time, and obviously is light with a medium character that doesn't slow them down attached. So I don't know off the top of my head if Imperial Officer slows down Imperial Ranger Corps, but I believe that they're both move 6. And comment on this video if I'm wrong, but let's say, for example, we live in this wonderful world where Imperial Officer is March 6. You can move 19 inches up, turn 1, and then turn 2, you move another 19 inches, which is an incredible 38 inches, which means it's turn 3 now, that you're getting on the very edge. Well, at that point, you can cross like basically the entire objective marker. But because you've had 3 turns, your enemy has had 3 turns to respond to this. Most likely, they are threatening that objective. So running blindly down this, like, you can't really do that. You have to have a plan for how to establish yourself on that long objective. In fact, I would go so far as to say it might not be that good of an idea to try to barrel down the board and score the zone this early. Do you want to talk about the objective markers?
Yeah, the objective markers are interesting because, once again, you're on the short side. So the objective markers that are closest to your side, you cannot actually attack until the 5th turn, and at that point you can kill them and score points. So this mission's a little hard because you need to push yourself forward to protect your side's objective markers, as well as try to establish or threat the enemy objective zone. But you still do need that second wave to come through, which, if you do your job and protect the objective markers, there's someone back there to destroy the objective markers on your table side to get the 2 victory points.
Yep. The thing that I do want to note that the objective markers are 24 inches from your edge. So let's say your heavies are coming in. They come in on turn 3.
Yeah.
So you have a heavy come in on turn 3. They generally have 6 to 8 move, or 6 or 7 move in my experience. So let's say a Mountain Yatnar is 6, so it moves in 12 inches, and then on its next turn, it is in March Charge, threat range, which it can do 2 damage on that charge. And if you have, say, a unit of Stalkers or something within effective range, you can then use that unit to finish off the last wound, which means that you can be scoring that right on turn 5. In that example, the Mountain Yatnar came in a little early because coming in on turn 3 is pointless. So you might want to consider, if you have access to flank or something, kind of holding back, because if you pop off too early, your enemy regiment might be able to interfere with your regiment before it makes it to your own objective marker.
Yeah, and this makes things like Mount Yacht or Ice Yatnars and Sea Yatnars are great because with their free utility, they can move, they can charge to get the impact damage, and then use the free range for Sea Yatnar or free magic attack from the Ice Yatnar to do the last point of damage. So exactly like you said there, every faction has some sense of these big things that if they come a little bit later, you can time it right so they can charge in there and remove the objectives if you've done your job to protect your side's objectives.
Yep, yeah. If you're Wadroon and you've used your Wall of Braves to defend your objective markers until turn 5, your Apex comes up behind it, does a charge, does, let's say, 1 point of damage, but then its Clash does 2 points of damage, destroys it, and then you can kind of back off or have your Apex charge into the fray, but you've scored your points, you've denied your enemy those points. Yep. And again, to emphasize, at the same time, you want to be reaching out to do your enemy as early as possible. So the enemy objective markers are 48 inches away, which is very hard to get to. I can't think of any unit that can reasonably do that. Most units are going to take 4 or 5 turns to cross the board to get to that point.
And it's important to note, even units with a large range attack can't really help until they're within 8 inches, because you need to be within 8 to damage them.
Within effective range.
Effective range. I think 8 because I think Bosun. But it does mean even long range units like longbowmen with 24, they still have to be within 12 inches, so they still have to hoof it across the board before they can start threading. But it does show that if the middle turns into a pig pile, that having a few range units that can kind of either arcing volley like longbowmen or draw nice lines of sight depending on the terrain, while things are kind of fighting, spending some action economy to take out the enemy objective markers before turn 5 where they can score it themselves.
Yep. And that's the primary objective, is you are trying to get 242 inches away before turn 5, because most likely they are going to be able to destroy their own markers on turn 5 as soon as turn 5 happens. It's going to be very hard to avoid that.
The last one is 2 points for enemy warlords killed, as we just discussed. That is not going to often win the game because there's so many points on the objectives. Scenario
3 is Breakout, which is an interesting one. It has 3 12-inch objective zones. Each one is flanked by both a friendly and an enemy objective marker. Objective markers mean that the zone cannot be claimed as long as the marker is on it. So you actually have to destroy the enemy objective marker in order to claim the zone. So these zones are 18 inches away. The markers are 24 inches away. And again, this does not include like the 1.3 inch length that the stand comes out, because they're 2.6 inch squares. And they're set like on the 24 inch line, so they kind of reach back a little bit. So your goal is effectively to get a unit about 23 inches up to damage the enemy objective marker, destroy it, and then something else stands on the zone. And preferably you've also protected your marker. So because the marker is 24 inches up, a Vanguard light unit can be super useful just to screen for it. Because if, like just as an example, I'm going to use Mounted Squires without a Noble Lord. So they have their full 10-inch move. Turn 1, they get 21 inches up the board. And then turn 2, they have a guaranteed charge into the objective marker and can do damage to it with impact and then clash afterwards. So they do 2 points of damage to it. They just need to do 1 more. And then they've unlocked that objective. Whereas if you have a vanguarding infantry unit with 6-inch move, you move up 18, you're still behind it, but you win priority, you jump to the other side, and you screen it out from the Mounted Squires and stop them from attacking it. That can be super valuable in buying yourself enough time to then destroy the opponent's marker and then stand on the objective yourself while they continue to not be able to seize it. I never said how many VPs there were. 3 for destroying a marker, 3 for a zone, and then 2 for 2 or more zones.
And then 2 for enemy warlord, but as you see, just killing an objective is more valuable use of time.
Yeah. I don't think there's much else to talk about this one.
You just have to, if you have really long, wide units, you just have to contend that you can't just walk over an enemy objective marker. So if you're like me and run a big chunk of Valks, you're going to have to figure that out. But yeah, this feels like a lot more standard list. And especially with the range, I think there's a lot of things that can be effective to both destroy an objective as well as hold.
And going back to longbowmen, they march 12 inches up or 13 inches up in the first turn. And then on the second turn, they can shoot within their effective range of 12 inches at an objective marker. So that could be another way of getting some early damage on that, paired with Mounted Squires.
Oh, it seems like an interesting way to just like knock something out.
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and you may notice that I'm talking a lot about 100 Kingdoms tonight. Isaac, aren't you a Wadroon player, you may be asking yourself? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I will not explicate further. Scenario 4 is Echelon. Echelon is long side normal deployment. I'm going to call it normal. This has objective markers, 4 of them. 2 neutral, 1 friendly, 1 enemy. It also has 2 objective zones. You score 2 points per zone, 2 points if you control both zones, 3 points for every marker you destroy, and 3 points if you destroy 2 or more markers in the same round. The first objective marker, the friendly one, is 6 inches from your board edge. Then there is one 18 inches from your board edge. Then there is one, doing the math, 30 inches from your board edge. And then there's one 42 inches from your board edge. You can do some wizardry. If you send a medium unit up to the further neutral objective and have it prepared and like maybe pepper some range damage a little beforehand, or you do a charge clash on one turn and then prepare to do just a clash on the next turn, or have something on standby in case that dies, you can set up a 6-point swing when your heavy regiment comes in. So this is happening probably on turn 4.
Yes.
You have your heavy come in, double march, then they are in a charge, get impact hits, then clash, kind of distance of the closer neutral objective, while your medium or light unit is set up to finish off the further one. But at the same time, your enemy is also trying to set this up, so it can be pretty risky. A lot of the times I find that you're going to be more interested in just holding your one zone and destroying your markers as soon as you have them available. You're not going to go for that win more 3-point swing unless you're super desperate and your enemy has left the option open for you, which who is going to do that? The enemy objective marker all the way across the table at 42 inches away, that seems like a non-option for score for me.
Unless someone is so sure that it's far enough away that they abandon it and you have some sneaky way of getting in, it does seem not a great option to plan around getting that, especially if you are trying to destroy it with another one to get the 3 points for 2 in 1 round.
Yeah, the only way that I could reasonably see you getting to this one is if you bring something like hunting packs or mounted squires.
Fenrir Beast too, same thing. You just kind of long term.
Maybe Fenrir Beast, but you send them up the middle and have the rest of your army just march up on the opposite flank.
Oh yes.
So that your opponent kind of counter deploys and matches your force, and then the unit that you send up the center at the last second veers off and goes and handles the abandoned objective. But it might work sometimes. I wouldn't go for it.
This feels like a mission where you want to play very conservative and try to bait out your opponent to make a mistake and then capitalize on that either by sneaking around, like you just said, to get their marker, or swinging the other way and try to clear off the zone and then hold both zones. Yeah. I feel like it's a game of who can wait and who takes the bait.
Yep. The most important thing is because the only extra points that you score are from slaying the enemy warlord, you can't get points for killing the enemy.
Yeah.
If your enemy jumps on objectives before you do, they can get a lead. So again, we're going back to my initial thing of you might want to jump on your point as soon as you can set up on it instead of going for a 6-point swing. Because, I mean, I'm going to say that your enemy is going to destroy their closest neutral objective as soon as possible, which means going for that 6-point swing, unless you set up the situation I described where you have their friendly objective open to a fast flanking unit, and your objective is still available because you screened it out. I don't think you're going to get that 6-point swing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think it's going to be super hard. You are probably more likely to get the swing from holding the zones than you are destroying the objective markers. But that's Echelon. Number 5, Forlorn Hope. There are no reinforcements from the middle 24-inch band of this board, which, by the way, is long, aka normal deployments. There are 4 zones, weirdly sized. 2 of them are 6-inch zones, 2 of them are 12-inch zones. And then there are 2 neutral objective markers. You get 3 points for every marker that you destroy, 2 points for each zone, and then 4 points if you control 3 or more zones. So another win more kind of situation. The zones are 6 inches away for the first 12-inch zone. Oh, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say, the other way you can score in this one is for 2 points for Warlord, which is in every mission.
Except Maelstorm.
Except Maelstorm, yeah, sorry. 2 points for every enemy character stand that has been destroyed during the round, and 2 points for any enemy regiment. So when Isaac starts giving out the directions and distances, it is important to know that, especially where you have to grab more to win more, that this is one of the few missions that it's very valid to just say, I'm going to prevent the enemy from just totally running away with objectives, and just try to remove units to leapfrog ahead.
Yes, if they play 2 kg, you can get ahead by just, like, if they are defending their defenders with screens, you get points for killing those screens, so you can still come out ahead if you force them to constantly be sending screens at you, and you, like, have anchors on your own zone. This definitely rewards a little bit more aggressive play, in my opinion. So the distances are 6 inches to the first 12-inch zone, like the closest 12-inch zone to your edge, 9 inches for the first 6-inch zone from your edge, then 30 inches from the edge, and 33 inches from the edge. So those are the distance break points that you're looking for. 30 inches isn't terrible. No. You can get that with 3 moves of a mounted squire, 2 turns of, well, again, mounted squires is a bad example. Noble Lords slow them down. But, like, Blooded in Stalkers can
get Vanguard, so the first turn they're going to move 18, 19 if they have a Stalker, so that puts them in range in what, 2.5 turns?
Right, so first turn 19 inches up, second turn you get another 13-inch move. You are on that zone. If your opponent has not dedicated something to stop your Stalkers, or they've had bad luck with reinforcement rolls or something, that's pretty bad. Like, if you start deploying, like, the chunk of your army in one corner, like your raiders start coming on, they're going to counter deploy to go against that. Yeah. And then you send your Stalkers right up the flank, you score it. Fenrir, if you have a Shaman Warlord, so they get Vanguard, they can also do it. They move 21 inches up their first time they come in, so probably turn 2 because they have flank. And then they're on the objective, scoring. So there's a couple tricky ways that you can do that. Although noted, when you are doing that, that's basically a sacrificial unit at that point. So you get the 2 points. You have to set that up to seize 3 zones for at least 1 turn. Otherwise, you're kind of losing out because Stalkers with Blooded in it, that's a 4-point swing, which is as much as you get for holding 3 or more objective zones. If you hold 3 or more objective zones, in total you get 10 points for that turn. Then your enemy kills your Blooded plus Stalkers, gains 4 points. You still have a 6-point advantage, so you won out on that one, but you have to understand that it is not just completely free that you're doing this. It is not, I've scored 10 points. It's realistically, I'm 6 points ahead, is how you should think about it.
Correct.
To kind of temper your aggression.
Exactly. And if you can't hit the bonus for 3, it starts looking very unattractive, which is if I throw 4 points of potential units to death to get 2 objectives, I score 4. You trade out and you kill my Blood and his Stalker friends. I scored 4 on the objective, 2 for holding 2. You just kill my guy, and now you just made up, and now it's a zero-sum game. Except now I'm losing. I'm down 2 activations.
Exactly. So that can be rough. But that all being said, if you can stop your enemy from screening you, it is almost trivial with the right units to actually do that. As described, Stalkers with Blooded in it. I need to look up what a Noble Lord's move actually is, because I keep saying Noble Lord with mounted squares because that's in my head, but I'm pretty sure it's only 7. But still 14 inches up, and then another 14 inches move is going to get on that objective. But my point is, with 2 other objectives being 6 and 9 inches respectively away, setting it up for a turn 3 10-point gain is pretty easy. Like units that come in as reinforcements that turn can make it to both of those. Okay. Like even with 5-inch move, you can, and no standard, you're 5 inches up, another 5 inches, 10 inches, you're on the one that's 9 inch away from your edge. The 6-inch edge, even easier. So you can definitely set up for that swing. Just know that it's not a 10-point swing, it's a 6-point swing, unless you win priority and you like reform back and then move away, and that somehow stops a charge from happening completely, or like stops their archers from killing you. But anyways, that is Forlorn Hope. Yeah, Forlorn Hope. Scenario 6 is Off Balance. This one is another normal long ways deployment. There are 2 12-inch objective zones that are going to be 18 inches away from your board edge. There are 2 friendly markers, and there are 2 enemy markers, which are respectively 36 and 42 inches away from your table edge. You get 4 points for destroying markers, 2 points for seizing zones, 2 extra points for seizing 2 zones, and then I'll let you say the line.
2 points for killing enemy warlord.
42 inches is hard to get to. Objective markers, especially because you have to not only spend the action economy to get there, but you also have to destroy it, which is hard for many lights to do, because many lights either don't have impact hits, unless they're mounted squires, or I guess raiders. I guess a couple of them do. But they can't do 2 damage per turn, and no lights that I'm aware of have 3 actions, except for people who can chant tier 3 Conquest in the Wadroon army.
Yeah.
Which would be a limited subset, but like it's possible. So now that my gears are ticking here, that could be interesting. But anyways, 42 inches is a lot. I would set yourself up to screen your markers, deny the points, and hold your point. I find this one very difficult to actually get across the board.
Yep.
And do like destroy the enemy markers, which are the biggest point gainers. Really, how I would personally play this is I would try to seize one zone, defend that, protect my markers, and then the way that I would tip the balance is kill the enemy warlord.
So I was going to say that this is the mission that killing the warlord seems to be very valid, because it is very hard to get the score 2 bonus. So if they can defend, and if you guys are evenly paced, it's going to be a grindy game, and it's going to be who can protect their warlord the most.
Yeah.
And this is also the one where I feel if this is in the mission pack, Dynastic Alliance actually puts a lot of points on the table, which is, if I'm playing against 100 Kingdom, that's 4 points on the table. Yep.
Yeah, and I would even be worried just about having the second option, because like if I'm playing this, I'm keeping my warlord in the back corner as much as I can. I'm heavily focusing entirely on one zone, and I'm saying to you, hey, you can have the other zone. Then I'm protecting my markers just enough that like the action economy doesn't make sense for you to actually go for them, while defending my zone. And then I'm just going to focus fire as much as I can into one of your 2 warlords. And giving me 2 options to go after just is not good.
You can't,
because that 2 points is going to win me the game.
Yeah, because exactly.
I don't need to kill both.
Evenly paced. Yeah, it's harder to protect two MacGuffins, I guess. Or two
this mission, I'm perfectly comfortable with just saying, okay, we are going to just have the same exact score until the very end of the game, and then whoever kills the enemy warlord is going to win. The Dwegom and Nords, this is going to be pretty hard to actually win against. I feel like they have huge advantages in this one, just because Dwegom, by turn 10, they will have their Dragon Slayers across the board, and they will grind you out of your defenses, unless you are very, very cagey and careful about it. And then
and they're durable. They're warlords,
and they're durable,
buried in things that are hard to kill. So I think that makes it. I think Nords are going to be good as well, because like the Mount Jotnar line will walk up there and be able to clear things out. I think the one thing that works against them is they don't have really any concept of a ranged hero. Like you could say maybe the Shaman you could put in a unit and have him hang back, but like Blooded, Conagar, Jarls, and Volvas really want to be attached to things that you want forward. Right?
I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to say a Volva hiding in the corner is multiplying your force just as much as a Volva on the front line. Your entire army getting +1 evasion is a pretty handy thing to get, and you don't need to be near them to give that to them.
That's true. You would have them just guard. You'd have it just hunker around your side's marker, where
right, exactly,
with a bunch of Elks with the blessed. Yeah, you're right. Okay, no, you're right.
And this is another mission where like having a 6 to 8 stand unit in front of the hardest marker to get to could possibly win you the game just by preventing them from getting like a huge point swing. Scenario 7, melee, long normal deployment, and 4 objective zones, 2 6 inches, 2 12 inches. There are 2 that are 18 inches away from you. Those are the bigger outer zones. There is one that is 15 inches from your edge, and there's one that is 27 inches from your edge, which is a weird number to be. You score 2 points for each 6-inch zone, so the 2 middle ones. You score 3 points for the ones on the outside. You score 2 additional points if you're seizing 2 or more objective zones.
2 points for killing the warlord enemy stand.
And
2 points for enemy character stands, not warlords, and then 2 points for enemy regiments. So this is one where there is a fair amount of points on the objectives, but you can also just go whole hog in, just killing the enemy.
This is one where it rewards you for having small, like a small amount of big chunky units.
Yeah.
So 6 to 8 stands on something with like defense 2 or 3 with shield, maybe a healer attached, some method of healing. Blessed would be helpful for the defensive rerolls. You just park on an objective marker, and your enemy is trying to soak victory points from you, but because they went all MSUs, you have the advantage there. You're healing back what they're dealing out. You're killing their stands in return. You're going to win on attrition. Even though the name implies like a lot of aggressive action, and the scores seem to imply that, this one seems like it's something that you just win through attrition or waiting it out. This is one where I think Old Dominion can have a lot of advantage.
Oh, yeah, Ultimate Dragon 2, same thing. Just Dragon Slayers.
Yeah. Just sit on a point and let the enemy throw themselves against you.
And this one seems interesting because I just kind of got this concept in my brain. Is this one seems where really heavy range damage makes sense because you killing an enemy gives you points directly and denies them from scoring objectives. So it's actually not it's not just a zero-sum game or a swing. It's like you both go up and reduce their ability to score, so it puts you really further up. So just standing on your side are the easy objectives, and just projecting force to whittle them down is a great way. And like you said, I think if this is in your mission pack, you need some amount of staying power, or else your enemy's going to rack up a lot of points.
Yep. Yeah, and this is one where like a strategy that I would think of is you claim the closer middle objective and the outer middle objective, and your opponent kind of come to an agreement. Okay, we'll let each other have those ones, and then you focus a lot of ranged units on the center and try to win that shootout until obviously their heavy units come in and try to push the field in their favor. But for the most part, it's going to be kind of wait around. But melee, Bulwark. This is another one. Long normal edge. It has a neutral marker, a friendly marker, and an enemy marker. The markers, the friendly and enemy markers, are on objective zones that are 12 inches away from your edge and 12 inches in diameter themselves, so the objective markers end up being 24 inches away. You have to destroy the objective markers in order to claim the zones. You gain 2 points for destroying the enemy marker. You gain 3 points for destroying the center neutral marker, and then 3 points for each zone. Three extra points for both zones.
Yep. And then in addition, you get 3 points for killing enemy warlord, as well as 2 points for every enemy regiment that has been destroyed during the round. So this is one where you can rack up some kill victory points.
Which again makes it kind of defensive oriented. You put a block on your closer objective. Yeah. You let your enemy come and try to destroy the marker, and while they're destroying the marker, your ranged support is destroying them, so it costs a lot for them to even get there. And then once the marker is destroyed, you just move your block up to block them from actually getting on the objective, and then they have to grind through your block. On the other side, you are trying to push your heaviest units up to destroy their marker, and maybe pepper it with some ranged attacks, and then burst through their block. And at the same time, both enemies are trying to set up a prime position on the middle objective marker, because 3 points can really be the swing. Like, this is another mission where you can easily play attrition enough where you're either trading units back and forth, so the victory points are going to usually cancel out unless one person is full MSU and one person is full big blocks. Then the big blocks is going to going to have the advantage. But let's say that they're evenly trading. That 3 point swing for the center is what's going to be winning the game, because both players are just going to be scoring the 3 points for their objective zone the entire game. It's going to be a tie until the very end, or one player gets a little too aggressive, overextends, loses their unit, and then the other army just backs off and consolidates onto their marker and then defends it. That's all it takes, and that's how you would beat Dwegem and stuff. You kill their Inferno Automata that they send forward, not really thinking too much about the mission, and then you back off as much as you can, and you can completely consolidate on that little corner, and then it's as they send more units, you're like, okay, I'm coming for you. So yeah, again, favors strong ranged presence to just kind of pepper things as they come in and defend against other enemy ranged units.
Yeah, exactly. I think like you pegged this best, which is the middle. Each side's going to scrum out on their side, and it's going to be a fight for the middle objective, and either be set up to take it really quick by having those fast impact units that can remove it, hopefully turn 2 or early 3, or have units that will punish the enemy as they put things in range of that. Yeah, once again, range units seem very important in this mission.
Yeah, because the middle objective is 24 inches away, and again, this has about a 1.3 overlap past the 24-inch line, so it's really about 23, we'll say, inches away. You can have, I'm going to use it again, Mounted Squires, no Noble Lord this time, but Mounted Squires move up 20 inches, guaranteed charge clash. That's 2 damage. They only have impact 1, so with defense 3, that's not actually super likely to actually do the damage.
Yeah,
but
it could.
It could.
And then if you have longbowmen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've walked 13 inches up. They're in effective range. They take aim volley. Bam. You just destroyed it.
And then just pull them on back and just play a very safe game.
Exactly. Of course, Nords could do this with pretty much any unit, because Raiders, are they move 5?
They're move 5. Yep.
So move 5, they move 11 inches up.
If with standard.
Actually, no. Raiders would need Vanguard in order to even pull this off, because they are not guaranteed. They would have to march charge on turn 2 and only get 1 amount of damage. So, like, you would have to have 2 units of Bow Chosen or Stalkers to do the extra 2 damage, which is, as you can imagine, a lot more of an investment than 1 unit of Longbowmen and 1 unit of Mounted Squires.
Oh, especially the range difference is with having to be within 8 inches for Bow Chosen, and I think Stalkers are 9 because I think they're 18. You have to...
No, Stalkers are the same as Bosun.
Okay.
So 16 inches.
Yeah, you have to be within 8, so you have to really put yourself up there, where Longbowmen with a 12-inch effective range can still be pretty protected.
Yes. The Longbowmen are going to be like 35, 36 inches away from the enemy edge, which is still pretty safe, and probably screened by the Mounted Squires. Because you could take aim and shoot at the objective markers, which we didn't mention in the beginning, are size 2.
Oh yeah. So you can shoot over your not Squires, but if I throw my Raiders in, their size 1, my Stalkers or Bosun in the back can shoot over them, being size 1, to the size 2 objective. So that's valid.
Bottleneck. There are 4 total objective markers. We are short ways. We are unnatural, perverse.
Don't like this.
Not normal. There is a friendly zone that you don't actually get any points for. There is an enemy zone that is 54 inches away from your edge. Huge. That you get 4 victory points for seizing. And then there are 2 neutral zones that are 30 inches from each edge that you only get 2 victory points for. This is going to be a lot of fighting over the middle zones, because 54, 52, whatever I said, 54 inches is a long distance. That's ridiculous.
And this does have the 2 points for any warlord, like all but Maelstorm, but this also has 2 points for enemy character stands. So this one, as you said, is going to be a grindy game, so if you have too many characters, you expose yourself for a lot of points.
Yep. The way that I would play this one is I would get big chunky blocks on either of the neutral ones. I would grind out the enemy, and then if they try to go for my zone, one of my blocks from the center would just flank charge them and destroy them. This is another one where it's like, okay, I want no more than 3 character stands, because if you've got three character stands even, you're giving up 8 total points if all of them die.
Because one's a warlord, and 2 points for the other ones. Yep. This one I think is hard for me, me as a Nord player, where the things that can take a hit are slow or coming so late that other armies, like you're using the even the slowed down Squire with a Noble Lord, are still going to get there way quicker than even my fastest unit. Right?
Right.
Because Fenners are the fastest thing I can
Yeah,
get.
Fenners, I mean, even Fenners, they're coming out on turn 2 because they're mediums. That does mean that they score, but they Vanguard, that's only with a Shaman Warlord, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, is they kind of depend.
21 inches up, and then, like, it still takes 2 marches to even get onto the zone.
And that is not a survivable unit either.
No. You've just spent 3 turns. Like, you're getting to this point on turn 3 when other armies can get to it on turn 2.
Correct.
So you're showing up late, using your entire action economy to do so, you're not even fighting over it.
You're not going to get a good charge because, like, going that rocket ship
You're going
forward,
straight,
you're not going to be able to get a flanking charge. Yeah.
Your enemy is scoring points on you because they sent, on turn 1, they had Stalkers with a Blooded in it, and they vanguarded 19 inches up and then moved the last 11 inches up and sat toe in 1 millimeter on the objective.
I think that's a good thing, is if you have an arm, if this is your mission pack and you play an army with some speed buffs and shenanigans, getting an early lead and just kind of holding it, I think is puts the enemy in a bad place. Like, this would be hard for me to play versus your Wadroom because you have so many. Not everything's going to get it every time, but just the fact that every few rounds, every few champs are going to be able to give someone a buff to move them a little bit further. That small amount of move across all your army, the game just pushes things up just a little bit closer, and being a little bit slower just hurts. So, like, when these type of missions show up, I want to have a Shaman in my list because I feel the only safe way to play. Otherwise, I'm hoping the enemy makes mistakes or brings slow units.
So, like, if you're going to an event, a 3-round, 5-round event where 2 or 3 missions respectively are long ways or short side deployment rather, you're saying, all right, Shaman Warlord time.
Yeah. 100%.
Because you need the extra Vanguard movement. It doesn't kick in until turn 2, but
yeah, that everything else will get up there. The fact 18-inch first turn Jotnars are huge. Yep.
So then scenario 10, head to head. They are long waves, normal deploy. There's 3 victory points for a neutral zone that is 33 inches and on one flank, and then on the other flank there is a friendly and then an enemy marker that is 33 inches from your edge. So you are seeking to find a way to get 33 inches up as fast as possible with a medium stand to claim that zone. Which is going to be very hard because it's only 9 inches from the enemy board edge, so they are going to be able to solidly defend it against anything that can come in to claim it. Both players are going to be antsy for the neutral objective marker. This is a
2 for killing enemy warlord, 2 for enemy character stands, and 2 for enemy regiment. So to your point, if you can block off your friendly objective zone and play smart on the neutral, because that's what's going to win you the game, and you can whittle down or wear down or attrition down your enemy, I think that's how you win. Because and you just, like previous missions, I think this emphasizes heavy models that can take a hit or replenish themselves, because they can be contesting or owning that objective without potentially giving up or exposing points to the enemy.
Next mission, Maelstorm, or Maelstorm rather, the best mission. Some will say the most brain dead mission, but it's the best mission. There are 3 objective zones, and the points actually switch back and forth between the game. There are 2 on the flanks that are 9-inch zones that are going to be 19 and a half. Is that right? I'm going to just say that's right. 19 and a half inches from your edge, and then there is 1 6-inch zone that is 18 inches from your edge. In the first 4 turns, and you can score on turn 1, the middle objective is worth 2 points, the outer objectives are worth 1 point, and then they swap for turns 5 through 8. And then 9 and 10, the middle objective is back again. This is a normal deployment, I think we mentioned. I'm not sure if we mentioned, but basically it rewards speed and /or being superior on all fronts. Because you can score turn 1, and there are objectives from 18 inches away. Move 6 character that is not light, that is in a regiment that is either a cavalry regiment
or is Vanguard.
Is very important. Wadroon with raptors with a queen in it can... Well, let me see if that's true. I'm not sure if that's true because they are... Oh, no. They're 8-inch move, 7 with the standard, so they move up 13 inches. No, they're not scoring. They're not scoring that. What am I thinking of? I'm trying to think. There's some way for Wadroon to get 18 inches turn 1.
Yeah, I know I earned my bully moniker from taking Blooded and Stalkers with Vanguard, because Blooded, especially now, before you had to totem to get to 6 move, now they get it natively. 18 inches first move, you throw a banner in there, 9 inches, you're towing and getting what you need.
Well, no, because it's 19 and a half inches.
Oh, yeah. But still, you're setting us off for turn 2, like
yeah.
any day of the week. You can actually leapfrog it to sit on the other side.
What friggin' units can score? Because I know that there's units that can't score this turn 1. What the heck am I thinking of? Well, I give up. Excuse me. I give up.
Important things here is if this is in your mission pack, you can lose units. There is nothing exposed for losing warlords, characters, anything. So you can run a bunch of stuff. You can put your warlord in harm's way. Especially with the switching objectives, I find that depending on your warlord, you actually kind of want your warlord there because usually they have the equipment or they have the ability to do things. So you want to kind of get them in the tussle. It's good if you can protect them, because you want them to last. That's great. But if you lose them, you don't instantly lose the game. And I find doing things to get an early lead puts the enemy on the back foot, so they have to kind of start making bad or quick decisions, which might not be optimal. So that's why I like trying to build lists that. Maybe not on first turn, but at least on second turn are going to start putting points on the board, because that's going to make my opponent have to react to that.
Yep. General tips, I would say, or like my general strategy going into this one is to try to gain center as quick as possible, at least match your opponent on center, and then try to bait your opponent into going for one flank, but go for the opposite flank, or make an agreement with your opponent to go on the opposite flank. Because if you go whole hog on center and your opponent ignores center and goes for the outside,
you get pinched.
Because they'll only be scoring 1 point a turn. Or they'll be tying you for points early on.
They'll get one
but then when it swaps, they're now gaining 4 points per turn.
And that unit is entirely left in the wind because they got people to the left and they got people to the right. So that's not great because that's not sustainable.
So you definitely want to pick a two-thirds of the board effectively, or a half rather, and say this part is mine. I will defend all of this. I will ignore the flank that you've picked, and I will just try to score my points, and then. If you lose center, you have to do a daring push into the flank, which can be difficult. So try not to lose center.
Yeah. I also
all I'm gonna say.
I like doing something similar where you kind of go for one a little harder and then have like a range unit or something that can project forces on the other one. So they sit there, but you're still doing a little bit. Once you hold the objective, then you can kind of swing in and open up the board a little bit. But everything you're saying I think makes sense.
Yep. So for the final mission, we are looking at Grind Them Down. There are 5 total markers. This is short ways, weird, perverse, nonsensical deployment. You get 3 victory points for scoring the central objective right at the center of the board. And if you're curious, it is 30 inches from your edge to get to it. You gain 2 points for any of the 4 6-inch zones, which are 15 inches from the edge and 51 inches from your edge, respectively, which enormous. You win more points for 2 or more objective zones, which is not a lot. Usually these kinds of missions kind of have and then if you're holding 3, you get even more, and if you're holding 4, you get even more. Not here. They actually probably don't want you holding objectives on this one because...
2 points for any warlord. 2 points for enemy character stands destroyed, and 2 points for every 2 enemy regiments destroyed during a round.
3 points.
Oh, sorry, 3
for
points.
every 2 enemy regiments.
And I find that is one of those. I feel you could get lost in the sauce on that one. I feel that there are opportunities where you want to just get the points, especially if there's an embedded character or warlord. And I think a greedy player might wait too long and play with their food, if you will, and not just finish them off because they'll be trying to set up a 2-regiment kill. So I think you have to be very deliberate and make sure you don't overexpose yourself or get lost in the sauce.
That is the hardest part. I'm actually at a little bit of a loss as exactly how to play this one myself, because it rewards, like, the way that it rewards you points for killing is so much harder to set up than just 2 points per enemy regiment or whatever. It's not like, I can't view this as purely a kill mission.
Yeah, if you're too efficient at killing, you're never going to hit that condition.
And then if you're just holding your points on your side, like, you end up the game with a tie. If you get too aggressive, you overexpose yourself, and the enemy, all they have to do is back off. That's the hard part, is as soon as you start getting aggressive, either the enemy jumps on, like, you've made a mistake and the enemy jumps and capitalizes on it, or they just back off. Like, you move your Dragon Slayers too far forward and the enemy's like, okay, I can't kill Dragon Slayers, I'm going to back off until my objective and just stop them from stepping on the objective. Fighting in the center, like 30 inches away, fighting on the center is fine. You just want one big block on it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what this
and just try to grind it out.
Things that can heal or bring back, I think, like Valks who can heal, I think are good for this because they can kind of take hits. I think regenerating spires, maybe if you can get them tough enough. I don't know if the Theist Priest, like, bounce back models is good enough for this, but
the Theist Priest does not heal models.
Oh, which is the one that...
Chapter Mage. Oh, you're thinking of Chapter Mage. Okay,
yeah, sorry, Chapter Mage is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it feels like that is good because then you don't expose stuff. I actually think the real way to play this is, like you said, hold your objective so you get a steady baseline of points that your opponent is also going to get. Do some wager of things in the middle, and it's all about stack organization and range units, because I think range units are huge. I think longbowmen and their volley, I know they do a ton of damage when they aim to get the arcing shot, but the ability to push through a little bit extra damage when you got a few things that are hurt, to push them off the table to try to set that 3-point is the only way I think I can play it. That I think you can do this.
Yeah, and the hardest part is, like, it is so emphasizes that you want one unit on the center that is larger than the enemy unit and heals faster than the enemy unit.
Yep.
Or you want one big unit and then, like, one extra unit, like, just behind them, so that you can kind of claim claim the objective just based on outnumbering with stands while you're grinding the enemy down in the middle, and then one unit is just, like, not interacting at all besides that. But then you also, like, want to back off, like, if you notice an enemy unit somewhere else is taking a lot of damage, you're like, okay, I've got to back my big unit off now. Like, oops. Yep. This one's weird to play. This one's weird to play.
And I think, like, one thing that we're not treating as a viable option is there is a world where you flank around to go 51 inches to the enemy side and push something off to hold it. I just find in most armies, the models that can push things off an objective or zone are not the ones that are going to be fast enough. Like, so, like, Fenner, let's say, like, I have Fenner, let's say I have a Shaman, like, I'm all in on this. Cool, first turn I go 7, 7, and 7 for Vanguard. I'm up, what's it called? 21 inches.
You have 30 inches to go.
Yeah, that's, cool, 3 turns. So that's saying on turn 5, I think, because they come in turn 2 earliest.
Oh my god, yeah.
I can contest.
I mean, it's a total of 10 move actions.
Exactly, and in a world where it's entirely telegraphed, so I have to be pushing these models, staring my opponent in the face, and have them just be like, I am going to let him do that with no consequence, right?
Yep.
It just takes one person being like, I take them, I shoot it a little bit, and they die, so they can't move things,
Right.
So I feel like if you have some things like the squires where they move 10, maybe they can be quick enough to get over there. 5 turns though still feels so, or five move actions, but that's why I feel this one's hard. I don't have it doesn't feel like there's a hard and fast way, just because it doesn't feel like there's obvious things. It feels like a grind. It feels like key sequencing.
I mean, it is called grind them down.
Yeah, and it feels like we talked about in the beginning. I would not want to make this list with one more enemy or one more character stand than I need to, because I think this mission will come down to, oh, your list has 4, I have 3. I win because I was able to just punch through one more kill.
Yeah,
right?
And what would be really silly is if you just did something like, I only have 3 regiments. I have 1 character and 3 regiments.
Yeah,
I have 3 regiments of 18 stands of hoplites or something with minotaurs in them, and one of them has a character.
This actually is one for my gilded big block list, which is just marked up. Just everyone come in. It's fine. We'll take it.
Yeah,
expose your flank. Then I'll have the horses on the side kill both of the side flank things, right?
Yeah. So to summarize this one, I can't think of any general tactics. This is all on table decisions that you're gonna have to make, based entirely on how your enemy is acting, which makes it very difficult for me to talk about. But so
the end. The one thing, there's a few things you might have noticed, which is there are a majority of these are more objective focused, especially with no kill win objectives. So I think it's important to build around that. One thing I would say for tournament organizers is be aware that the point cap for some of these missions are wildly imbalanced. Such as if you do a mission where players get points for killing things, that round they might score a lot of extra points.
Well, I'm thinking back to that one mission where holding 3 or 4 objectives was worth 14 points a round.
Yeah, that's a great example. If you can
do that for 3 rounds,
you're going to have so many points that when it comes down to the secondary matches, which is if Isaac and I both have the same win-loss record, the person who will be higher ranked will be done on the objective points. Missions that allow you to rack up so many put you at such a lead that you have to be careful when you plan your 3 or 5 round event, so that you don't have too many of these where someone might just have a lucky round or 2 and then be able to jump way above the pack if everyone's roughly at the same place for win-loss levels. And I think that's the biggest criticism I have for this mission pack, which is one reason I actually like Maelstorm so much, which is while there is points on the table, it does emphasize movement. It is not something you can rack up so many objective points that it'll make other missions weird.
Actually, still, I mean, there's 5 points on the table for the middle 4 rounds. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 20 points. Then the first 4 and so 6 total rounds are worth 4 points each. So there's a total of 54 points on the table.
Now that you run the numbers, it is, but I find in practice, it's one person isn't running away with it as much. I do.
In practical gameplay, these are the theoretical numbers. Yeah. In reality, ignore the first turn, because I can't think of any unit that can actually make it 19.5 inches up the board.
And especially to get all 3. Because you talked about 5 in the first round.
Right, so take 5 away, so you're looking at 49 points total throughout the game. That's going to be split between the 2 players. In order for one player to get 49 points, that would be majestic. Hey, they've earned it.
Yeah. But
let them win the tournament.
Like you're talking about where there's objective, hold 1, hold 2, hold more, and kill objectives. If someone's steamrolling the opponent, they can, and plays against a weaker opponent, they can rack up so many points that 2 more evenly matched models that don't expose so much, the winner might not get enough secondaries to end up with the tiebreaker to go all the way. So just something to be aware of when you put these together. I know it's feedback that I've talked to other players at events, so just be aware of it or come up with an alternative way to break ties. I know that in one event we played, they did strength of opponent, not just secondary objectives.
Yeah, strength of schedule, yeah. There's that, and then I don't remember the specifics of it, but there's some groups on the official Discord that talk about their system. It's best out of 20. I forget how they normalize the scores to out of 20 points. But that's the scenario pack. Hopefully it doesn't change too soon. Hopefully this video stays relevant for a while. I'm glad that we could walk you through it all, and I hope that we gave you some valuable information. If you disagree with anything we said, if you've come up your own tactics, comment below. Like the video, subscribe, call me names in our official Discord. Yeah, follow us on Instagram. I don't know. That's the end of the video.
Yeah, follow, like, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with us.